A new scientific innovation that's turning mind reading into a reality. It's today's big idea. It may sound like science fiction, but a group of scientists were able to accomplish one of the first instances of brain-to-brain communication. Yeah, something like that. By using only a digital connection linking their brains, people thousands of miles away were able to send greetings to each other. Here's how they did it. One person in India, known as the word sender, was hooked up to a computer that reads brain signal. While three other people in France, called the word recipients, they got the messages and had to interpret those words based on some flashes that they saw. Joining me right now is Alvaro Pascual-Leone, a neurology professor at Harvard Medical School. He recently published the results of this experiment. And I was thinking here that, Alvaro, you and I would just do this interview by attaching a wire to your head and to mine.
Sounds great.
Would you like to do that?
Be hard for the spectators to understand anything, but we may get the message across to each other.
All right, so this is really dynamic. First of all, do we get the description right? And if we did, give us how this works. What is it that's operating in the brain that allows this to function?
Yeah, you did get the description perfectly correct. And what is going on in our brain when we think of something to say, even before we say it, is the same brain activity as when we actually go about to say it. And so if we're able to capture that brain activity and decode it, extract it from the brain and send it across a distance, we can figure out a way to convert it into signal that we can inject back into the recipient's brain. That's essentially what we did, is capture the thought process of one person, converted with a computer program into ones and zeros, a binary code that was sent over the internet.
Got it.
And then that binary code was converted into a robot-guided stimulation in the brain of the recipient. And so the recipient experienced flashes of light or not that meant the ones and zeros of the message being sent over.
I want to play a little bit of tape here, and then I have a question for you. Let's watch this.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that was that communication happening right there, and we heard some ticks, and then we heard yes. Why did it make that sound, and how do the people here, how can this help them as they're communicating?
So the clicks that you heard were this brain stimulation pulses being delivered to the recipient. As the current passes through the coil of copper wire that is external to the head of the person, it induces that clicking noise. And what the person was responding yeses and nos to was whether or not a perception of a phosphene, of a little flash of light, was evoked by those stimuli or not.
There's something moving around behind his head. What is that?
The thing moving around the head is this robot that holds a coil of copper wire that is targeting different locations of the brain so as to evoke the phosphene or not to evoke the phosphene.
Got it. And then those things on that glasses that he's wearing there, those are where he sees the flash of light?
No, those are actually the type of reflectors that are necessary so that we know exactly where in the subject's brain, rather than on the subject's head, we're targeting with the coil. We don't want to do surgery. It's a non-invasive way, but we need to register the subject's head to his or her own brain MRI.
Right.
And this is the way to navigate the brain space.
Okay, fine and dandy. What are we going to do with this?
So right now it's a very early proof of principle. It illustrates the fact that we can send messages across, that we can decode the messages, that we can convert them into ways of stimulating specific parts of the brain and evoke in a controlled way perceptions, experiences by the recipient that can be translated into an understanding of what the message was. Obviously it requires a very fancy, complex system, and the question is, can we ultimately scale this down in such a way that it might be able to be done with a much simpler, streamlined technology. So it's a very early proof of principle guiding the path, hopefully, to overcome problems of people that cannot communicate by speech or offering other ways to communicate.
Yeah, it's just a little bit bigger than a Google Glass, I'd say, at this moment. But as you say, who knows what can happen in the future. Alvaro Pascual-Leone, thank you so much. A little mind reading today with just wires attached. And do you have a big idea that's making a difference? Tell us about it by emailing us at bigidea.msnbc@nbcuni.com.